What up, everybody? What up, everybody? What up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of AC Reviews the World. I'm your host, AC the Engineer, and we are back at episode 75. 75. Yep, 75 now. Let me get us up. We are at 75 episodes, 25 more till we hit episode 100. Like you know, I stream now Monday through Friday. So this is the last stream of the week. But I stream around either be 6 or 7, most likely. So today is 6 o'clock. Beautiful 6 o'clock on Friday, November 28th. Black Friday. It's not like Black Friday has any good deals anymore, at least what I've seen. All I see is them have a Black Friday sticker on it with the same number they had on it originally. But I digress. But welcome back to another episode. Thank you all for the support. Thank you for watching now. Thank you for watching later, if you tune in later. Like always, we got a lot of things to talk about. The world is a crazy place. And it gets crazier every single day. That's how it seems like. It gets crazier every single day. I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. They gave thanks for what they are thankful for. And they ate good. Not too good or not too little. But hopefully everybody had something that they could be thankful for that happened this year. But you know how I like to do it. I like to jump right into it. Let's jump right into it. The first thing we're going to talk about today, we got to get over to if you don't know, the DC National Guard member has died. So one of them has died. As you know, they were in critical condition. So we got a few videos on that. And then the charges for the suspect has been upped, of course, because someone has died. So let's get over into the videos. So we got a few videos to look at. So let's get over into that and see what else we can learn from this situation. It's a crazy world, y'all. It's a crazy world. But we got to review the world together. We have to review the world together. Let's jump into it.
We are following breaking news tonight. President Trump announcing one of the two West Virginia National Guard members shot while patrolling the nation's capital on Thanksgiving Eve has died from her injuries. The U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia says the suspect faces at least 4 felony charges, including attempt to kill while armed. Natalie Brand has more from Washington.
President Trump announced on Thursday night that one of the 2 National Guard members shot while patrolling the nation's capital on Thanksgiving Eve has died from her injuries.
Right now, I heard that Sarah Beckstrom of West Virginia, one of the guardsmen that we're talking about, highly respected, young, magnificent person, started service in June of 2023, outstanding in every way. She's just passed away.
The other National Guardsman was identified as 24-year-old Andrew Wolf. Investigators say the suspect in Wednesday's deadly shooting drove cross-country to carry out an ambush attack.
A lone gunman opened fire without provocation, ambush style, armed with a .357 Smith & Wesson revolver.
Officials identified the suspect as 29-year-old Ramanallah Lakhanwal of Washington State, an Afghan national who entered the U.S. in 2021 following the American withdrawal from the war-torn country. The CIA said Lakhanwal previously worked with the U.S. government in Afghanistan. A Department of Homeland Security official tells CBS News the suspected gunman was granted asylum earlier this year on humanitarian grounds.
We must take all necessary measures to ensure the removal of any alien from any country who does not belong here or add benefit to our country.
So he was given asylum just a year ago. So then he had a weapon, drove cross country just to try to kill 2 National Guard members. It's a tragic situation. Let's keep going.
In addition, the director of U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services says he has ordered, at the direction of President Trump, a full-scale, rigorous re-examination of all green cards for every immigrant from more than a dozen countries of concern, including Afghanistan.
Now, you know how Trump is. He's gonna ramp up stuff. So let's get over into this next video. So disturbing new footage shows the moments a Hero National Guard member opened fire on the suspected Afghani terrorist just moments after the alleged gunman ambushed two troops in broad daylight attack. The suspect, I'm not Ramani. I'm not good with names, especially those names. Could be seen brazenly wielding his gun as he fired rounds at the National Guard members in Washington, D.C. on Thanksgiving Eve, according to a series of live photos obtained by the Wall Street Journal. It's a crazy situation, y'all. Absolutely crazy situation. Look like got rooftop footage. It's crazy. He used to work with the CIA, Homeland Security, in Afghanistan. Absolutely crazy. Let's go over to this next video.
The suspected D.C. shooter, Ramanullah Zakanwal, was part of a Zero unit in Afghanistan, elite militias backed by the CIA. So let's take a closer look about what we know about these groups. First, these Zero units that were recruited by the CIA that are operating for specific elite counterterrorism units and missions come in this southern Afghanistan area, Kandahar being some of the fiercest fighting, Helmand province, Uruzgan. This is where Lochinwall is not only born and raised, but this is where he was stationed. His unit was out of the Kandahar region. Now let's talk about Lochinwall's vetting process. He did get some vetting. We had biometric screening, CIA did, biographic checks on interagency watch lists. The CIA looked to see if he had connections to any terrorist groups, and he had in-person interviews. So there was some vetting, but let's talk about his actual unit. He was assigned to NDS-03. That's a National Directorate of Security, which is Afghanistan's CIA, if you will, intelligence service. He was working for that when he was recruited and trained by the CIA to fight against the Taliban. But these units were operating outside the chain of command of U.S. and Afghan forces. That's significant. That suggests he may have seen some significant fighting in missions, because these Zero units are known for their brutality. Some called them death squads. Let's bring in now Laura Burns, head of terrorism research program on extremism at George Washington University and former FBI supervisory special agent. Laura, we're learning a lot more about Lochinwall and the fact that he's part of this Zero unit, but yet we're also looking into how he makes it across the country to carry out this ambush. What are your thoughts this morning?
Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to be here. I appreciate it. Yes, this Mr. Lochinwall's pathway from Washington to D.C., it raises some interesting questions, right? Questions like, was Mr. Lochinwall already radicalized before he migrated to the United States? Did he come here with the intent to commit an act of terrorism when he found the opportunity? Or Rather, did he migrate here with good intentions and for some reason become disaffected with society or fail to assimilate and then self-radicalize and then decide to mobilize with a target of opportunity? I think that as the investigation proceeds, FBI Director Kash Patel has said that they are looking at this as an act of terrorism, that facts will become available and help us determine exactly what his radicalization process was.
You know, Laura, FBI Director Kash Patel talked a little bit about Lochinwall's relationship with Afghanistan partner forces. Listen here.
There is confirmation now that the subject had a relationship in Afghanistan with partner forces. This individual is in this country for one reason and one reason alone, because of the disastrous withdrawal from the Biden administration and the failure to vet in any way, shape, or form this individual and countless others. And this administration has taken the rightful step to stop any further allowance of people.
Well, I'm going to stop it right there. It did sound like they, at least what I'm understanding, now tell me if I'm wrong, but it sounded like they did little vetting. I don't know if they didn't do any vetting like the illegal migrants who came over and just walked across the border. He had some slight vetting. I don't know if it was extensive enough, or they didn't find anything in his background, or was just hidden too good, or like they said, he might have radicalized when he got over here. Now, what are your thoughts, y'all? What are your thoughts? Let's keep going.
With this similar background into the country.
So, Laura, clearly Lochinwall ends up here because of his partnership with our U.S. forces, with the CIA. And it appears he did have vetting, as I just pointed out, but yet there are still links, weak links in this vetting process. Explain your sort of view of that.
Yes, I mean, the overall vetting process, if we're talking about the broader vetting process, it didn't just involve Mr. Lochinwall, because it does appear that he had some sort of vetting, was extremely complicated and chaotic. And, it really began with what I see as the intelligence community's failure to predict how quickly Kabul would fall. And because of that failure to understand what was going to ensue, there was a lack of preparation for what that evacuation process of our allies would actually look like and entail, and the challenges that they would face. And there were many challenges. We had hundreds of thousands of Afghan nationals who assisted our forces in various capacities and risked their lives. But the ability to vet individuals in that chaotic environment was extremely difficult because of the naming conventions that were in Afghanistan. Some individuals used first name only. There were lacks of date of birth. There were lacks of identification documents. And so when you're talking about thousands of people fleeing violence and flooding onto planes, we weren't prepared to vet them.
It's a great point. It's a great point, Laura. I just want to, get to this quickly, and that is now President Trump is calling for a re-scrutiny of the vetting of those who came here. It's possible Lochinwall came here with good intentions and became radicalized here in the past 4 years. So can we accomplish the process of re-vetting a lot of these individuals that were brought here? Will that work?
I think it's necessary. It's necessary for the protection of our national security, because at the end of the day, especially in those first months, when we had thousands of people migrating here, the U.S. government was not prepared to properly vet. The vetting was minimal. And I think it is necessary, because although a number of individuals migrated here who sacrificed their lives for our government, there were individuals who were not properly vetted that likely have nefarious intent here. Yep. And I think a re-scrutinizing of the vetting process is necessary.
We'll see where it goes. Laura Burns, thank you for taking time this morning.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
Absolutely crazy, y'all. Absolutely crazy. But the young lady has lost her life. The young lady has lost her life. Let me zoom this up. Hold on. Can I zoom this in? Let me, yeah. Just so we can see it. Just a little recap on what we all know. So, as you see, a National Guard shooting occurred in Washington, D.C. Wednesday, November 26th. So we saw the victims. So we got Sarah Beckstorm, 20. So she died from her injuries yesterday. She was a member of the West Virginia National Guard, had volunteered for duty D.C. over Thanksgiving holiday. And then we got Sergeant Andrew Wolf, 24, also a member of the West Virginia National Guard. He remains in critical condition. Absolutely crazy. So as I said, President Donald Trump called the attack an act of terror and announced the deployment of 500 additional National Guards. The Trump administration has indefinitely paused the process of all immigration applications from Afghan national pending further review of security protocols. Afghan advocacy groups have condemned the attack but urged the government not to use it as an excuse to target the entire Afghan community or delay other immigration claims. So that is what is happening right now with that whole situation. At the end of the day, we got to pray for the victims. One has sadly lost a life. Hopefully the sergeant, I don't know if it's sergeant, but the Andrew Wolf should be able to pull through. But absolutely crazy situation, y'all. Let me know your thoughts on that whole situation. It's a crazy world we live in, y'all. It's a very crazy world we live in. But now here's the question. They asked a good question. Was he radicalized before, or was he already radicalized when they did the investigation and let him come into the country, or did he radicalize while he was already here? What are your thoughts, y'all? What are your thoughts on that whole situation? It's a crazy thought. And what are your thoughts on Donald Trump pausing immigration claims right now, especially from Afghan? Do you think that's right? Let me know your thoughts and let me know if you disagree with anything I said. But we're going to pivot. We're going to pivot over into the next topic today. And speaking of the whole justice system and all that, cashless bail system. So I seen this video pop up on my timeline. Well, not timeline, but on my suggested videos. And it made me think the cashless bail system. So there's been plenty of times since I've been doing this to where we've seen where one, you don't understand why they was able to get out on bail, and the whole bail system in general. Sometimes I just don't agree. Like the bail just seems too lenient to me, but some judges are saying, well, that is all that they could give them. But let's get over into this video and see what they're talking about. It's saying that it's a failure in the system of the cashless bail. So let's get over into it and see what we can understand from this situation and what they're trying to say. Remember, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you can be up to date on everything we're dropping. Let's jump into it.
The woman set on fire in a brutal Chicago train attack, spending Thanksgiving in the hospital with critical injuries. This, as we learn, the suspect is a career criminal who repeatedly violated electronic monitoring conditions. Now the state's cashless bail law and the county's monitoring program are facing new scrutiny. Brooke Taylor is live from Dallas with more. Good morning, Brooke.
Hi, Molly. Yes, the attack on Chicago's Blue Line train last week is raising new questions about the state's cashless bail law and why a suspect who's a repeat offender, had many violations over the years, was free in the first place and not behind bars. So 50-year-old Lawrence Reed is accused of setting 26-year-old Bethany McGee on fire as she sat on the train just minding her own business.
Oh, no, we got to back that up a tad bit. Y'all see that? The image of him pouring, I'm assuming some kind of gasoline or fuel, just pouring it on her.
The train just minding her own business. Reed is now charged with felony terrorism. He has a lengthy criminal history with more than 70 prior arrests. And most recently, he was awaiting trial after he allegedly knocked a hospital employee unconscious. Well, Reed was released, allowing him to roam the streets on electronic monitoring after Judge Teresa Molina Gonzalez denied the prosecutor's request to keep him detained. Under Illinois cashless bail law, it's up to the judge to decide if defendants should stay behind bars before trial. Well, Fox News.
Now, here's a question. I've seen people say this before, but should the judge be held responsible when they let these people out without any bail, when it's clearly up to her judgment? She could have said, no, he's a danger to the community. He has to stay in jail until the trial. But should she be charged for letting him out and he goes out and does something crazy? Let's keep going.
Reviewed records from the Cook County Chief Judge's Office, which oversees electronic monitoring. And check this out. As of earlier this month, more than 500 people charged with violent offenses are out on monitoring pretrial. That includes 9 charged with murder and 32 charged with attempted murder. Records show Reed was violating
We got to hear that stat
electronic
again.
monitoring. And check this out. As of earlier this month, more than 500 people charged with violent offenses are out on monitoring pretrial. That includes 9 charged with murder and 32 charged with attempted murder. Records show Reed was violating his curfew with multiple alerts just this month, including the night that Bethany McKee was set on fire.
This was a breakdown in our public mental health institutions as well as our criminal justice system. You know, this woman is fighting for her life. We're going to continue to pray for her. And this person should not have been on the streets of Chicago or anywhere for that matter.
And the Chief Judge's Office says it's reviewing all action in Reed's case to make sure that procedures were followed and to identify improvements. Meanwhile, critics are blaming the SAFETY Act, which was the cashless bail law signed by Governor J.B. Pritzker back in 2021. Molly.
A heartbreaking.
And yeah, they're looking at improvements now, but it's already too late. This could have been prevented. At least that's my understanding. Let me know if you disagree, but it could have been prevented. This man was in and out of jail, over 20 times, they said? Something crazy like that? I think they might have said 70. I don't know. I might have been mishearing, but at some point, they said he was also already just breaking the curfew. After so much time, man, you can't give these people too many chances. After so many chances. Absolutely crazy. Let's keep going.
Heartbreaking case. Thank you so much, Brooke Taylor. We appreciate it. Mike?
Molly, let's bring in Donna Rotuno, criminal defense attorney and Fox News contributor. Donna, welcome.
Thanks, Mike. How are you?
I want to dig into that Fox News analysis that says that hundreds of people charged with violent crimes in the Chicago area are out on electronic monitoring, including more than 40 accused of murder or attempted murder. Judge Teresa Molina-Gonzalez saying, quote, "I can't keep everybody in jail because the state's attorney wants me to." How alarmed should folks in the Chicago area be?
If they're doing violent crimes, I would think it's fine to leave them in jail, or have them stay in jail instead of being monitored electronically. But I guess it's up to her.
Well, I live in Chicago and I work in the criminal justice system in Chicago as a defense attorney. So these are things that we deal with every day. There are some judges, of course, that are following this law. And if someone is a true danger to society, they are keeping them in custody. But here we see a failure in the system. Number one, a failure of the no cash bail system, but furthermore, a failure in our mental health crisis in Chicago and all our big cities. And the only thing I agree with our mayor on is that that is a failure in that arena. What do we do to fix it? This man should not have been out. Even if he was in custody in the Cook County Jail, they weren't going to fix his mental health problems. And then at some point, after a sentence in this case, he would be released. So this is just a failure system-wide and something that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, Lawrence Reed, 50 years old, career criminal, allegedly set that young woman on fire. Chicago's mayor calling it an isolated incident. Let's play it. I'll get you to react.
This is an isolated incident. I mean, I don't see this as some sort of trend. And again, you know, the level of accountability that has to happen in this moment, you know, I trust that the federal level will do its part.
How do you respond, counselor?
They love saying isolated incident, but it sounds like a lot of isolated incidents be in Chicago. That's just my thoughts, but let me know if you disagree.
Well, I have a problem with that comment because, first of all, anytime someone is attacked on a train where multiple hundreds of thousands of people are on these trains every year, you have thousands of people every day riding a train. So that statement, I think, is ridiculous. Everybody is under attack when something like that happens in the public sphere. So I think to say it's isolated is untrue. It may have been isolated in terms of the way he behaved on that day, but it is not isolated in the way it affects society. And one of the things judges are supposed to look at when they determine whether or not someone should be released is are they a danger to the community? And how can you say that someone who gets on mass transit and acts in such a manner is not a danger to the community? This is also a failure in the monitoring system, because even if they let him out and the monitoring system was working, this wouldn't have happened, because they would have known he was out when he shouldn't have been. I think he had 7 violations prior to this day. So this is just a
100%. She's
problem
100%
across
right.
the board.
Then there's a new heartbreaking case here in Washington. The ambush of those National Guard members. One has died. One is fighting for his life. Here's the U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro on that.
There are
absolutely crazy situation, but you see, he's a career criminal, obviously suffering just from his mugshots. I don't know if it's fine to say this, but he seems like he's suffering from some kind of mental health issues just from the mugshots. But he's constantly being let out, I guess. But for some reason, I guess she didn't think he was a danger to himself or a danger to others. So they let him out on cashless bail. They let him out without having to pay anything. On an ankle monitor. The ankle monitor obviously didn't work because they said that it was sparked, or it showed a violation on the same day that he killed her, breaking curfew. Like I said, tell me, y'all, do y'all think the judges should be held responsible for this type of thing? When a criminal who obviously, or well, it might not be obvious, but the criminal who the defense or the prosecution is constantly saying, yes, he's a danger to the community. He needs to be stayed behind bars until the trial. And the judge, within her right, she has the decision to make if she's going to go ahead and let him out or stay in, or keep him in jail. Should they be charged when they let him out and he still goes to commit something crazy? It's a crazy world we live in, y'all. It is a truly crazy world. There are plenty of people out here who need mental health, who need help with their mental health. And there's plenty of people out here who are just bad people who deserve to stay behind bars. I never understood why the bail system is so weird. Sometimes they'll give them a bail and the bail just seems ludicrous. We was just looking at an attempted rapist a little while ago who only had to pay $500 to get out of jail. It blows my mind sometimes. It truly blows my mind. But let me know your thoughts, y'all. Let me know your thoughts on that whole situation. At the end of the day, we got to pray for the girl who got set on fire. Set on fire. It's a sad reality that we live in, that the judges, this could have been prevented. It's as simple as that. It could have been prevented. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you disagree with anything I said. Absolutely crazy, y'all. Absolutely crazy. But let's pivot. We're going to pivot over into the next thing we're going to talk about. We have a home invasion. Daveport home invasion. I think it said either 5 or 6 suspects have been arrested. 5 or 6 suspects have been arrested. So we got a video to look at, and then we're going to go into an article that breaks down a little bit more details about it. So let's get over into it and see what we can learn from this situation. You got 5 people to come break into your home. It's a team, and they don't care some of these people don't care if you live or die. But let's get over into it and see what we can learn from this situation. At the end of the day, y'all, keep your head on the swivel and protect yourselves. Protect yourself. Let's get into it.
An armed home invasion at an Airbnb rental turned into a shootout in Osceola County. It happened earlier this month in the Champions Gate area of Daveport. The sheriff says 5 people are now behind bars. As West 2's Justin Shecker found out, deputies are increasing their presence in the popular tourist area.
An old Wild Wild West shootout inside the house. And miraculously, nobody was shot. Nobody was injured. A lot of damage to the house.
These photos of bullet holes in the walls show the aftermath of an armed home invasion that turned into a shootout on November 5th at an Airbnb rental on Leader Street in the Champions Gate area.
Back door, the sliding glass doors were shot out. There was bullet holes throughout the house, numerous.
Osceola County Sheriff Christopher Blackman says a teenage victim told deputies that a group of men dressed in black and wearing ski masks approached her outside the home.
They come up to her at gunpoint, took her back inside the house, and was trying to do the home invasion. but they didn't know inside there was other guys inside with guns as well.
Deputies searching the neighborhood arrested these 2 suspects after the victim positively identified them. They were booked into the Osceola County Jail on aggravated assault, shooting in an occupied dwelling, grand theft, and armed robbery charges. The sheriff says 3 other suspects were located and arrested this week in Orange County.
Now, our criminal investigation division spent a lot of hours with research and search warrants, getting information we needed to lead us to these other 3 people.
Sheriff Blackman tells Wesh 2 his deputies have stepped up patrols in the popular tourist area with a lot of short-term rentals. He says recently they've had multiple calls for home invasions.
So I would say to any tourists that are down in that area, be careful. You know, you're in Florida and you're on vacation, stay alert, stay vigilant. And to the people that live there, if you see something out of the norm, say something, let us know.
The sheriff says his detectives are investigating whether these 5 men could be suspects in the other home invasions. Covering Osceola County, Justin Shecker, Wesh.
So let's stop it for a second. This is basically the end of the video. Let's look at these. So we got Davante Joseph, Markel Bailey, Alvin Silva. I might be saying the names wrong, but I don't care. They're criminals. Jaquan Hill and Roland Maryling name Jr. Some of these, the last 2 on the right, they look crazy. They look crazy. Absolutely wild. They go up in there, try to do a home invasion, and then it turns into a shootout because people in there got the gun. See, that's how you do it. You got to protect yourselves, y'all. You got to protect yourselves. It doesn't sound like anybody was hurt, but let's get over into this article so where it breaks down a little bit more about this information so we can see, so we can learn anything else. Let's get over into it. There it is. So as we say, the sheriff's office in Osceola County, if I'm saying the name wrong, I'm sorry. It has arrested 5 people in connection with an armed home invasion at an Airbnb early this month. So the incident happened on November 5th at a home on Leader Street in Daveport area. The sheriff's office says a group of males with guns entered the house and forcefully took a teen girl phone and keys. Deputies said the suspect also exchanged gunfire with some other guests, and then both the suspects and some people who were inside the home fled the scene. Deputies were responded to the crime scene, said they found multiple pistol and rifle casings inside the home, bullet holes in the wall, and shattered rear siding glass doors. 2 suspects identified as Javante Joseph, 21, and Marquis Bailey, 20, were arrested nearby that night. Good. On Monday, deputies said that they tracked down and arrested 2 people in Orange County with the help of Orange County Sheriff's Office and Florida Highway Patrol. So they were identified as Alvin Silva, 22, and Jaquan Hill, 20. A 5th person, Roland Marvin, 20, was arrested on Tuesday. The sheriff's office said the victims in the Airbnb at least knew of the suspects and gave detectives leads. Hold on. The sheriff's office said the victims in the Airbnb at least knew of the suspects and gave detectives leads. Hold on. So was it kind of like a home invasion or like a sliding on like ops or something like that? So they're bringing a lot of details. The investigation is ongoing, but the sheriff's office does not believe there are any other suspects. I wonder, was it like sliding on? It's a crazy situation. Let's see if there's anything else. I'll back that up a tad bit. Anything? What's this one saying? I think it's the same thing. The victims, female, told law enforcement the group of men got out the vehicles carrying various various types of guns. She told the officer that the suspects were dressed in black and wearing ski masks. The victims forced the resident and the group of home invaders entered the house. An altercation occurred and the property was forcefully taken from the victim. Shots were fired. The suspects, along with everyone inside the house, fled the scene. Officers noted several pistol and rifle cases. So that's stuff we know. Let's see. Both were charged with aggravated assault. So this is the two who were first caught. Both were charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, shooting into an occupied dwelling, grand theft, armed robbery with a firearm, and criminal mischief. Over the next 2 weeks, they identified the other suspects. Let's see. They told deputies that they stepped up patrols in the popular tourist areas. That last article we looked at before this one does shed some light. So, because they said that the victims knew of them. So what does that mean? Does that mean that they was in that life as well, or they just seen them on the block, or they just throws a lot of questions out there. Throws a lot of questions. Absolutely crazy, y'all. Absolutely crazy. But we got, what were the ages of these men again? So we got 21, 20, 22, 20. And what was the last one? I think the last one was 2020. So got ages from 20 to 22. I'm telling y'all, they're getting younger and younger now, committing these crazy, horrible crimes. Home invasion, trying to break in with assault rifles. And you can't imagine what they would have done if nobody was in there with a gun. End of the day, y'all, please keep your head on a swivel. Be prepared, be able to protect yourselves. Get training. And at the end of the day, like I said, you got to keep your head on a swivel. Watch out for these crazy people out there. They're getting younger and younger. These YN. They don't care who they hurt. Anybody could have been shot. They wouldn't have cared. They would have still tried to run and get away for whatever they would have found in the house. Or it could be a situation where, since they knew about them, they was trying to get them in the first place. But I don't know. That's just that whole, they knew about them and helped them with the investigation kind of throws me off. But I might have read it wrong. I might have read it wrong and said something wrong. Let me know your thoughts, y'all. It's a crazy situation. But they're arrested and they're going to be in jail where they rightfully belong. Some of these young guys don't deserve to be on the streets. They grew up in environments where they turned them into killers and the criminals, and hey, you got to do what they got to do. They got to go to jail. It sounds like they got to go to jail, stay in jail, and probably end up being somebody's boyfriend in the jail. Hey, I'm glad, but I'm happy they were caught. Let me know your thoughts and let me know if you disagree with anything I said. Absolutely crazy, y'all. But it's at the end of the day, y'all, just keep your head on the swivel. Keep your head on the swivel, and watch out. Watch out. But let's pivot over into the last thing we're going to talk about today. We're going to get over into, we got something I wasn't expecting to see. We got a daycare worker hits a baby. Yeah, I said it. A daycare worker hits a baby. Accused of hitting a baby. Let me say that right. Accused of hitting a baby. So it looks like in a daycare water there's some. It's prepared because it's kind of graphic. But let's get over into it and see what we can learn from this situation. After that, sticking with the whole daycare thing, it looks like there was another in Minnesota. You got, I think it's Minnesota. They said that is a rise in daycare workers abusing kids. Absolutely crazy, y'all. Let's get over into it and see what we can learn and see what we can find out from this video. But let's get over into it.
A daycare worker in Greenbrier is facing felony charges for hitting a 1-year-old baby in the face. The parents took pictures to show police, and we've seen those pictures. We've made a choice journalistically not to show them to you. The baby had scratches and bruises.
Back that up.
A daycare worker in Greenbrier is facing felony charges for hitting a 1-year-old baby in the face. The parents took pictures to show police, and we've seen those pictures. We've made a choice journalistically not to show them to you. The baby had scratches and bruises. Police say it happened at the Calvary Baptist Church daycare. 31-year-old Morgan Sloan was fired and arrested. She was connected to at least one other incident like this.
An unimaginable crime.
That was a little shorter video. Let's get over into this longer video so we can learn more about it.
An unimaginable crime. A daycare teacher striking not one but two babies in her care. This allegedly came to light yesterday in Greenbrier. Now, we do want to warn you, some images in this story are pretty disturbing. Andy Cordan joins us now with the investigation. Andy.
Hey there, Kendall. You know, according to police, the daycare worker confessed to hitting the children in her care because she didn't like that they were crying. Tuesday afternoon,
Watch your kids at the house. That's all I'm hearing. If you can be a stay-at-home mother, I'll always advocate for a two-parent household. So if you can, have someone stay at home and watch the kids. We were in a new age, so the man can do it or the woman can do it. So, but don't be trusting your kids with some of these people. You can't.
Greenbrier police are called to the hospital to investigate a 1-year-old child who has severe bruising.
I had severe bruising on the left side of the face, purple and dark red. It actually looked like there were some scratches and maybe even a finger mark on the face. And then the child also had minor bruising on the right side of the face as well.
According to Detective Joseph Cellini, the injury happens here at the Calvary Christian Daycare and Preschool. When officers arrive, they quickly learn that the baby's daycare teacher, Morgan Sloan, has already been terminated.
The information that we gathered is pointing to her not reporting the incident to the facility administrators.
Investigators bring the 30-year-old to the police station. First, she said that the child fell. Is that accurate?
She said that she had heard a thud, and she believed the child had fallen, but she didn't actually observe it.
After several hours, police say Morgan Sloan confesses to harming the baby.
She stated that she struck the child in the face several times. She stated that it was because the child would not stop crying and that she couldn't take the crying.
During Tuesday,
so when she starts crying, we can strike her in the face. Well, I'm not going to say anything. Let's keep going.
Investigation. Police learn of a second child also hurt in Morgan Sloan's care. That child, also a 1-year-old little boy, who suffered injuries 2 weeks earlier on November 13th.
And ultimately, she did tell us that she intentionally struck that child as well. But the child did have a mark on its forehead, and then also its lip was bleeding. She told us that the child was laying on the changing table, and when she struck it in the face, it bounced its head off of the table.
According to investigators, both children are expected to make full recoveries. Did she show remorse after confessing to this crime?
She did. She definitely was.
Ain't remorse. She's upset that she's caught. And she's crying because she doesn't want to be punished. She wants them to be lenient on her. But what did she say? She said she hit them because they were crying. Well, let's keep going.
Was concerned. Obviously, it was a very emotional moment for her, as well as the parents. I don't think anybody wants to get a phone call that their child was hurt at daycare nor assaulted by a teacher intentionally. So it was an emotional moment, I think, for everybody
I would have
involved.
went up there.
And I spoke with the mom of the child who was hurt yesterday. She tells me that she thinks the daycare acted appropriately after they learned of the incident. But when I asked her about Morgan Sloan, she told me that she was angry, she was sad, and she told me that she can't imagine who would do that to her sweet little baby. She said she's in shock right now. Let's send it back to you, Kendall.
All right, Andy, thank you.
Couldn't be me. I would have went up there. I mean, we got to be honest now. I would have went up there. I don't know what I would have done, but I would have went up there and got in the face. I want to hear it. Well, why'd you hit my son? Why'd you hit my daughter? Now, the police needs to come now. I need the police here so they can take her to jail. I definitely wouldn't have done anything, but I would have definitely needed the police to come immediately. Someone has to go to jail.
Well, the daycare gave us a statement on this incident saying, quote, prompt actions were taken by the center directors, removing the worker, Morgan Sloan, from any further responsibilities and was immediately reported to appropriate authorities. The church and daycare center have cooperated and will continue to cooperate fully with the ongoing investigation.
Absolute crazy. We'll get into this video in a second. Let's go over into this daycare worker article just so we can get a little bit more information about it. So as you've seen, a Tennessee daycare facing felony charges after allegedly hitting a 1-year-old in the face for crying. So let me zoom in some so everybody can see it. Zoom in some. So a daycare worker in Greenbrier is facing felony charges after she was accused of striking a 1-year-old in the face twice, according to the Smoky Barn News. The report that TriStar Northcrest Medical Center in Springfield notified Greenbrier Police Department on Tuesday of a 1-year-old who had been brought into the emergency room with a facial injury. See, that's good. I'm happy that the medical center called the police on this. The child reportedly had a significant bruise and discoloration on one side of the face and a lesser bruise on the other side. Officers immediately began investigation. Good. Detective Joseph with the GPD told the investigation into the child's injuries led him to the daycare facility at Calvary Baptist Church, a daycare facility at a church, and one of the workers is hitting the kids. Workers at the daycare told police that that teacher had already been fired and that they had immediately notified the parents and the Department of Child Services after another daycare worker noticed the child's injuries. So is notifying the Department of Child Services enough, or did they need to call the police? That's what I want to know. The fired daycare worker was identified as 31-year-old Morgan Salone of Greenbrier. A daycare worker is now facing charges. So it says Salone did not report the child's injuries until the other daycare worker noticed. Detective also told the news that Salone told the other teachers that she had found the child with the injuries. After police located her, Salone voluntarily went to the police station for questioning. Initially, she told the police that the child had fallen, but later admitted to hitting the 1-year-old child in the face twice because she could not handle the baby's crying. If you can't handle crying, why are you a daycare worker? Simple as that. They probably grilled her. They grilled her hard. Like in that interrogation room with the one wavy light. It was, you did it. While investigating the incident on Tuesday, officers learned from the daycare that another child in her care had sustained similar injuries on November 13th. It said that it was reported that the child had fallen, but when questioned about the incident, someone reportedly admitted to hitting the child as well. Detectives told the daycare followed all correct procedures and fully cooperated with the police. Additionally, the police said that they suspected no wrongdoing by the daycare. Okay, so I guess calling the social services or Department of Child Protection, I think that's what it said, is fine, and then notifying the parents. Salone had been charged with 2 counts of aggravated child abuse and neglect and is being held at the Robertson County Jail with a $100,000 bond. So remember, she got to pay 10%, so you got to pay $10,000. When reached by email, the daycare facility at the Calvary Baptist Church confirmed that officials at the church were notified Tuesday of an incident reported of one of their child care workers. And then they gave the same thing, remove the worker Malone and from any further response. The church and the daycare center have cooperated and will continue to cooperate with the investigation. Absolutely crazy, y'all. Absolutely crazy. Now, all of this made me think, let's go back over here. All of this made me not think about just daycare workers in general. And then this video, like, it knew what I was thinking, popped up. This was just dropped today or yesterday, talking about how there's a rise in the daycare workers abusing kids in, Minnesota. So let's get over into this. Let's see what it got to say.
Scared to death. Someone's gonna end up dead. And it's just not right.
Broken bones, an attack with a pizza slicer, and even a staffer punching a child in the head. Those are just some of the disturbing details we found going through thousands of pages of state records involving child care centers throughout Minnesota.
And in some cases, children ended up in the emergency room and others needed surgery. Fox 9's Mike Manzoni spent months looking into this and uncovered that abuse and neglect reports at daycare centers are on the rise.
I don't care. Sit down. No. You are not listening. You're taking a break. Don't look at her like she's gonna help you.
We started looking into daycares earlier this year after videos surfaced showing a staffer screaming and grabbing kids in Plymouth.
I did not tell you to get up. Come on, let's keep cleaning. This is what you're doing until our toys are picked up.
The state investigates these kinds of incidents. We requested records from the last couple of years and found more than 200 reports that detailed all kinds of abuse. Most of them involve neglect, like staffers looking away for minutes at a time, but at least a couple dozen or so of them involved verbal, physical, or sexual abuse. And more than half a dozen of them involve broken bones.
There's so many centers with so many problems.
You start seeing abuse everywhere once you know it's there, and it's shocking how much is out there.
Records show a staffer at one daycare attacked a child with a pizza slicer. That kid needed surgery and now has a permanent scar.
Oh, no.
In another case...
Back that up. What'd they say, a pizza slicer?
Everywhere once you know it's there, and it's shocking how much is out there.
Records show a staffer at one daycare attacked a child with a pizza slicer. That kid needed surgery and now has a permanent scar. In another case, an employee at another daycare hit a child with an iPad. And at another daycare, a staffer forced children to eat until they vomited, flipped over their cots while they slept, and dragged them across the floor.
The entire time she was at that daycare, she was...
So a lot of these people sound like they have problems and shouldn't have been around kids in the first place.
Being abused.
Janice DeGonda found bruises all over her 5-month-old daughter's body.
It just kept happening. She kept coming home with marks. You always hear of things like this happening in like movies and TV shows. You never expect that it's going to happen to you.
It happened at Small World Learning Center in Blaine last year. We also spoke with the baby's grandmother. She still blames herself for not noticing the abuse sooner.
I feel like in some ways I failed my daughter and my granddaughter because I should have seen more, and I didn't.
Abuse reports nearly doubled from 2022 to 2023, shooting up from 57 to 100, and they continued to rise last year.
How much higher do these have to get before more eyes see it and more people step in to try to stop it?
It's a pretty safe system. There are individual bad actors, and we do what we can to try to identify them, but it's not a foolproof thing.
We sat down with Randy Keyes. He's the Inspector General at the Department of Children, Youth, and Families, which oversees daycares. His office has about 140 staffers, with 8 of them working on maltreatment investigations. Any sense of why there's that very clear upward trajectory? Is it happening more, or are you just catching maltreatment more?
I can't answer for what happened at DHS. We're a new agency. We've started to work now as a separate agency. We've been here since June, and so I have information currently, but I haven't looked at DHS's historical information.
That is a good point, or because it makes you think with the age of technology, more people on social media and everything like that. Is it a rise in stuff like this happening, or has it always been like this and just more people are documenting it and showing it, presenting it on social media for the world to see? It's a good point, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of crazy bad people out there.
So we're just not sure, I guess, why there's been an upward trend.
I don't have any information.
When the state uncovers maltreatment at a daycare, it has several options. It can either fine the daycare $1,000 or $5,000, depending on what happened. It can also suspend or revoke the place's license. And when it comes to the employees involved in the abuse, it can report them to the state's background check unit and disqualify them from ever working with children again.
We're seeing it increase, so we need to focus on it.
Republican State Representative Nolan West is trying to find ways to stop abuse at daycares, and this is personal for him.
There's a bruise about an inch, maybe 2 inches tall and an inch wide on her leg that looked like somebody grabbed too hard.
His daughter was just 6 months old when she was abused at that same Blaine daycare. I just want to go through some of the things that we found when we reviewed these incident reports. A staffer who attacked a child with a pizza slicer. That child required surgery, was left with a scar. A staffer hit a child over the head with an iPad. One staffer punched a child in the head. And it just goes on and on. Who's looking out for these kids?
Well, every single parent to where this happens to you, it becomes your all-consuming mission to prevent this.
This past legislative session, he co-authored 2 bills that the governor signed into law. One requires daycares to install surveillance cameras and forces facilities to keep the footage longer after an incident. The other requires hospitals and birth centers to educate parents about abuse. But he says the state needs to do more.
I'm going to be advocating for more increased safety measures the rest of my time in the legislature. It's the most important issue.
Representative West says he plans to introduce more bills next year, including one that would increase fines for daycare violations and another that would enhance background checks.
Somebody needs to tell us what to do next, because I'm ready to fight. We need to take care of our children.
I understand.
For Fox 9, I'm Mike Manzoni.
Absolutely crazy, y'all. Y'all heard some of that stuff. Some daycare worker attacked a child with a pizza slicer and sliced his face. You got hitting kids with iPads, punching kids in the face. Sometimes you can't trust these daycare workers with your kids. That's why I'm always an advocate of the, if possible, at least for while the kid is growing up before he goes to school, is one parent working, or if that's possible, one parent working, one parent taking care of the kids. But you never know, it could be. But abuse can happen anywhere. And maybe when they go to school, they might start getting abused by other kids, bullied. Hopefully not abused by teachers at school, but you never know. You never know. You just got to watch after your kids, ask them questions, talk to them, be proactive in their lives. Because the last thing you want to do is find out when it's too late. It's a crazy world, y'all. It's a crazy world. Please look after your kids, look after your wives, look after your family. And if you see something wrong or think something wrong, ask the questions. Ask the questions. It is a crazy world, but we got to review the world together. We have to review the world together. Absolutely crazy, y'all. Let me know your thoughts on that whole situation. Let me know if you disagree with anything I said. Absolutely crazy. But that is the end of the show today, y'all. Thank you for watching. That's the end of the shows for the week. Like I said, I'm now streaming Monday through Friday, either starting at 6 or 7. You will know a few hours before when I start. But it's a lot of crazy things that'll happen every single day. If something pops up crazy over the weekend, then yes, I'll make a video on it. But absolutely crazy, y'all. Thank you for watching now. Thank you for watching later. Remember, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you can be up to date on all the videos I'm dropping. These videos will be broken down so you can watch the one that you liked. But let me know if you disagree with anything I said. Let me know if I got something wrong. Tell me your thoughts on some of these things. We got to review the world together, and we have to talk about this stuff together. That is what I feel. But hey, let me know your thoughts. But you already know, I got to play that outro. That's it for now, y'all. Peace.